The morning watch. The morning watch. The morning watch. The morning watch. I always start with the word, now that's a bird call. I came to take them to church, don't wear your words draws.
Hey Generations fan, Pastor George here. Thank you for joining me for another episode of The Morning Watch. I'm so glad that you've joined us today. Hey, today we're going to be talking about the man in the gap. The man in the gap. So this comes from a sermon probably 2 or 3 weeks ago by Pastor Josh back on Father's Day. And we're going to be looking at Nehemiah 1 through 4. So Nehemiah 1, 3 through 4 states, "The wall of Jerusalem is broken down and its gates have been burned with fire. When I heard these things, I sat down and wept." One man cared about something everybody else had learned to tolerate. One thing that we need to keep in mind regarding the story of Nehemiah is people who change things first allow their heart to be broken. People who change things first allow their heart to be broken. Nehemiah 1:4, "When I heard these things, I sat down and wept." See, the walls had been broken for generations at the time, but God only needed one burdened man to start rebuilding them. The thing that breaks your heart may be the thing God is calling you to help rebuild. God rarely calls people who are comfortable with what breaks his heart. People who stand in the gap take responsibility for what they didn't cause. Nehemiah 1:6, "I confess the sins we Israelites, including myself and my father's family, have committed against you." You don't have to create the problem to be part of the solution. Nehemiah never picked up a stone until he first got on his knees. The people God uses most often are the people willing to take ownership instead of making excuses. Number 3, people who stand in the gap build what others only talk about. People who stand in the gap build what others only talk about. Nehemiah 2:18 states, "Let us start rebuilding." The miracle wasn't that the wall got rebuilt. The miracle was that somebody finally decided to begin. The wall wasn't rebuilt because Nehemiah was talented. The wall was rebuilt because ordinary people united around a God-given vision. The future belongs to people willing to pick up a stone while everyone else is still talking about the wall. Ezekiel 22:30, "I looked for someone among them who would build up the wall and stand before me in the gap on behalf of the land." So this sermon really impacted me. And while he was preaching, I'm not going to say I had a vision, but I did have something in mind that I wanted to contribute to the conversation. Actually, a couple things. Number one, we see this in families all the time. So, listen, if you are a step parent, can I challenge you and let you know that you are a Nehemiah, that you are a wall builder or a wall rebuilder? Divorce, the word tells us that God absolutely hates divorce. Is he opposed to the legal proceedings? I don't know. But I think more to the heart of the matter is divorce divides and destroys families. Hey, listen, if you're divorced and you're listening to the sound of my voice right now, man, I am too. So I'm speaking from experience, not from a place of judgment, for sure. So I've been divorced. And I'm currently a step parent. I'm a stepfather. Well, man, if you're a step parent listening to this podcast, I really want you to know that you are a rebuilder. You're a rebuilder. You're someone that sees the walls in disrepair, holes in the wall, stones tossed to the side, and you make that active decision that, nope, this is my wall. This is my wall, and I'm going to get to working on it. Man, divorce creates distrust. Divorce creates animosity. Man, it's the root of so many evils. And again, I'm not coming into the position of judgment. I'm also divorced. But just speaking plainly about it, man, it hurts and destroys all the wrong people. It truly does. It's the kids that suffer. And then, depending on the situation, the mantle may then be passed to a step parent charged with putting that wall back together, putting that family back together. Like I said, divorce breeds distrust, it breeds animosity. And for a step parent to step into that role, it's tough, it's hard, it can be thankless work for sure. But man, is it worth it? Man, is it worth it? So for those step parents that are rebuilding walls that they didn't necessarily tear down, you're a Nehemiah. Listen, and also if you're married, you're a Nehemiah, okay? If you're married and you have made the active choice that divorce is not an option, that you have dug in your heels and whatever comes your way, you're going to work it out together, even if there's times where you're not seeing eye to eye, when the finances are a mess, when the kids are being crazy. Man, can I encourage you today? Stick with that. Stick with that. Stick with that marriage. Stick with that covenant. If there's gaps in your wall, if it's in disrepair, man, pick up a hammer, would you? Don't use the hammer against your spouse. No. You went the wrong way. I read your mind. No, pick up a hammer, start rebuilding that wall. Don't leave. Let's do this actively as a church. Let's begin looking at our life, ensuring that we're not leaving walls of disrepair for other people to fix. Okay, because that's what we're doing when we're stepping away from our marriage, when we step away from those friendships, when we step away from those relationships, when we step away from that job. Sometimes it's inevitable, but there's a good way to do it. There's a right way to do it that doesn't cause damage to the defense of the city, which is what the wall stands for. And furthermore, on a final note, man, this really struck me when Josh was giving this sermon. Having the opportunity at an extensive education that the military paid for, I'm so grateful. I've had an opportunity to experience other cultures, other traditions, and I really want to drill down on this point. When it comes to the disrepair of walls, man, us Americans, we have to be very, very careful. We have to be very careful because in our consumer market right now, I'm well aware that in majority of cases, it is much cheaper to buy new than it is to fix what you currently have. I realize that. There are circumstances that you can get into, especially when it comes to a vehicle, technology, everyday items. Oftentimes in our current marketplace, it's actually easier and cheaper to buy new than it is to fix the old. I'm afraid that is affecting our trajectory when it comes to other areas, though. When it comes to those disrepaired walls, to those walls that have crumbled down hundreds of years ago that nobody bothered to repair, nobody bothered to clean up, they're just still standing. I think this is a trap that us 21st century Americans have a potential to fall into, and we cannot treat people the way that we treat consumer products. People over products. People, man, it is so, I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where you've been discarded. A lot of military people feel that way. Now, get me wrong, we can go down that rabbit hole at another time. The system's designed that way. So the military does a great job of indoctrinating you into the military lifestyle. Probably not a great system right now for turning you back into a civilian and letting you off into civilian life. So you kind of feel rejected. You kind of feel discarded. But that's true for the relationships that we've had, in marriages that we've had in the past, and relationships that we've had in the past, and friendships that we've had in the past. We tend to discard rather than fix. We tend to discard rather than fix. Now, I think it's totally okay to have boundaries. I'm a huge proponent of boundaries, and if people consistently violate boundaries, perhaps it is time to step away from that friendship, but there's also a great way to do that. And I haven't always done it for sure. For sure, I haven't always done it. But I am trying to learn. And as I learn, I want to pass that information off to my friends and my church family so that we can be building something together like Nehemiah, repairing those walls. In fact, we're doing that right now with the Slay the Giant campaign. We're repairing walls that we didn't neglect. We weren't around for it. So there is a certain component to that where we have to honor that. Like, hey, we weren't there. We don't know what the situation was that this church found themselves in this situation. But Generations Church landed itself in a lot of debt to no fault of anybody that is currently on staff. And honestly, to no fault to anybody that worked there previously. I wasn't there. I don't know the ins and outs. But I tell you what, I am willing to pick up my stone and help rebuild that wall. And me and my family have for sure committed to that. But that's what we're doing in our church right now. We're rebuilding walls that have long since been into disrepair. We're doing that financially. We're doing it physically. You'll see, you've probably seen a whole lot of changes within the church. Look at the Family Life Center and the bathrooms and the kitchen that the Hungry Hearts prepares those wonderful meals for us in. So we're doing that financially. We're doing it physically. We're doing it relationally. Can I tell you, man, our staff works really, really hard to build and sustain healthy relationships. We do. We have meetings about it. It is vitally important to the health of our church that our relationships flourish, and we as a staff are charged with participating in the creation of that culture. We don't build that culture. We believe that the presence of the Holy Spirit rests in our house. We believe that the Holy Spirit inspires and directs us for sure, but we are in continual evaluation of ourselves and of our leaders and of our church as a whole, so that culture is maintained and that these walls don't come into disrepair. So back to my point regarding our current consumer market with relationships. Man, can I challenge you this week to ensure that you're drawing a strong delineation between people and products? Yes, right now I recognize it's easier and cheaper in many situations to simply buy new instead of repair the old. And I get that. And however, relationships aren't like that. Church family can't be like that. We can't just discard people. So in closing, listen, the man in the gap, referring to Nehemiah of Nehemiah chapter 1 on the Father's Day message. I mean, you might be currently in a situation where you're surrounded by all four walls that are currently in disrepair. And that can be disheartening. And I want to encourage you, if you need to take a moment and say, man, this really stinks. Man, you are absolutely allowed to think that stinks. But could I also encourage you to make a decision directly after that, to pick up the hammer, pick up the stone, pick up the mortar, and start building those back? Can I tell you just one thing before I let you go, just one thing that has served me really, really well. We got to learn how to apologize. We got to learn how to apologize, mean it, and move on. I think that's one of the barriers that we currently have right now in our relationships. Our culture, I think our culture has a lot to do with it. Entertainment, I see it almost everywhere I go, where we're so prideful and we're so entitled that we expect everybody to conform their lives around us, and we've forgotten this ability to apologize. Man, and it can be very, very simple. And it can be very simple for a myriad of relationships that are in disrepair, whether they're from a really long time ago, there's benefit to that, or even if it's recent. Man, we got to learn how to apologize. I think having that cultural understanding that when we screw up, we can say we're sorry. We can say we're sorry, and we're still a man of God. We're still a woman of God. In fact, I think we're more so, right? So, man, make those evaluations. If there's an apology to be made, would you consider making it? Even if the whole situation wasn't entirely your fault, we have culpability. Generally, we have about 50% of culpability. Now, don't get me wrong, people push through borders. I've been there, and that's a tough situation, and that's not necessarily what I'm talking about right now. But man, in these situations where relations seem to fall apart, man, an apology for your share or your contribution to the fallout of that relationship could go a really long way to mending fences. So, Pastor George, what would that look like? Man, pray about it. Seek his counsel. Seek God's counsel on it. Ask him to give you the words that are necessary. Perhaps reevaluate the situation with the lens of, okay, where did I screw up here? And where can I find fault myself that I can go ask forgiveness for? And then set an appointment. Do me a favor and don't do this over text. I'm a huge proponent of text. I think text is one of the greatest technological advances. It gives me an opportunity to put it in the right priority, maybe come back to it a little bit later and give a more thorough answer. It's just really beneficial. But when it comes to apologies, those are done face to face. So go to God, ask him where your culpability is, ask for the Holy Spirit's guidance, pray about it, set an appointment with that person, and don't have any expectations. Listen, they may have been waiting for your apology all these years. They may have completely forgotten about you and would perhaps choose to just move right along, and that's okay too. But when it comes to rebuilding these relational walls, I want us to be quick to forgive, slow to speak, slow to anger, and quick to apologize. Hey, and here's an example, okay? So, man, it can be kind of in the moment. Hey, dude, I went home last night, and I was kind of thinking about what we were talking about at dinner, and I feel like maybe I didn't articulate correctly, and I felt like maybe you took offense to that. And that was not where I was going with that. That's not what I was trying to do, and I'm really sorry. That man, your friendship is really valuable to me, and I'd hate for it to go awry based on some comment that I said over dinner that I didn't mean or what have you. Man, if we can be a group of people that will be slow to speak, slow to anger, quick to forgive, and quick to apologize, I think our church is going to continue to grow under those parameters. I think our walls will continue to be built, whether they're physical or financial or emotional or spiritual. Let's be Nehemiahs. Let's contribute to the rebuilding of the wall. Man, we love you guys. Thanks for humoring me. Thanks for letting me take a few weeks off. I did have a week off, and then I got really busy. But then I made some adjustments to the studio here. Got some diffusion over here on the lights in the corner. Hey, say hi to Woody and Buzz. What's up? Newest contribution. Let's go. Hope you guys have an amazing week. Hope to see you Sunday at 9:15 for breakfast, and on Wednesdays at 5:30 for our Hungry Hearts meal, and then small groups. Love you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.